Okay, we're on again. Hi, I'm Dina Moskowitz, and I'm CEO of PartnerOptimizer and host of Ecosystem Chronicles. And the Ecosystem Chronicles is always about stories with channel thought leaders and channel analysts and partner ecosystem leaders about partner intelligence and partner data. And it's the only forum for conversations around that in the channel at this point in time, and we're always excited to be adding new topics related to it. And welcome to our friends who are experiencing winter down south, and to those of us who are baking right now up north in North America and the northern hemispheres. But today's episode is going to be a sizzling one. It's a really interesting topic. We did our best to make it sound simple, but there's a lot of complexities. And the topic of it is how targeting the right partners is going to generate 20 to 200x in ROI in your partner program. And here to speak about that is a guest who I'm very fond of. He's such an impressive executive in the channel in sales. His name is Ezra Hucano, and he's with MarketStar. He's the SVP of Indirect at MarketStar. Change the slides, please. And let me give you a little bit of background on Ezra. So he has been leading channel teams for really some of the largest companies in the world, both indirectly and directly, sales and direct sales and indirect channel, and as an external third-party agency as well as directly, in cybersecurity, in B2B tech of all types. And he's got such a great finger on the pulse around what's going on today because of all of the clients that they have in their portfolio at MarketStar right now. What else can I tell you? He just has the magic touch and the experience and the, you figured it out, Ezra. So many channel executives are out there saying, how do I optimize my partner program? How do I actually drive sales and show that we're moving the needle in times that, when we have to do more with less? And Ezra is one of those people that can explain to you some of the most fundamental ways that you can move the needle. So Ezra, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. MarketStar is a great partner to PartnerOptimizer, and we've had some great success together. But really, this is about hearing from you and what your experiences are and how you are going to share with us how you actually generate that kind of crazy ROI with channel partners. So welcome.
Yeah, awesome. Dina, thank you for taking time with me, and super honored to be co-presenting with you. To all the folks listening, I know that most of you are quota carrying. So I thank you for your time. I know that a whole bunch of you know that taking 30 minutes out of your day equals X amount of revenue or X amount of EBITDA that you're missing out on. So just want to thank you guys for taking time. I hope that you'll get something valuable out of this. For those of you who are not familiar with MarketStar as an organization, we're an outsourced sales organization, and we run sales and channel teams for some of the biggest companies in the world. You can see some of the logos on here. We run teams for IBM, for AMD, for Citrix, for UiPath, ExxonMobil, of all things. And you would be shocked at how similar the commercial lubricants channel is to the IT products channel, the things that they care about. When did I get my pricing? When did my price change? When do I get my product? Almost all the same things. So, super parallel. The reason I put this up here isn't to brag about the clients that we work with. It's more so that you can see that I get a pretty good perspective of channel programs across the industry, what's working, what's not working. I know pretty well which segments folks are selling into, which segments are doing well. And that gives me, I think, a broader perspective. And a lot of these folks count on MarketStar to make recommendations as to how to change the program, how to adapt the program, how to modify the program. So that's probably a good general overview of myself and MarketStar. Next slide. So what we're going to talk about specifically is, a little bit of the current macroeconomic environment, but really how you get your partners and your partner teams into 20 to 200x ROI. And if you'll hit the next slide, Carrie. 2024 is really a pretty pivotal year for ecosystems. I have clients and partners that I work with who for the last 5 to 6 years before 2 years ago never missed their quota, never had a down cycle, never went through any kind of strife or anything. And as you know, a lot of those folks had their budgets cut, their personnel cut. That's all fine. But after everybody went through, hey, we cut, now we're healthy, now our EBITDA looks good, our stock looks good, sales leaders got the, hey, guess what? Now you still have to hit your quota. And by the way, not only do you have to hit your quota, but there's this new thing coming out called AI. And AI wins right now are going to matter for the next 5 to 10 years. So with less resources, you better figure out how to sell more and not win on the cutting edge. That's a big, tall ask for revenue officers and channel folks and all of this. And one of the easiest ways for folks to lean into this, if you've got lower budgets, less personnel, is to rely on your channel partners. And that's why for systems integrators, MSP, traditional VARs, et cetera, 2024 is really a pretty pivotal year to show your value and to lean into that, especially because let's just highlight the bottom. If you're a company selling into anything that is IT, you cannot afford to not be involved in AI design wins right now. I've talked to a couple of resellers who are in on, the last one I talked to told me he's doing $10 million plus AI projects. Every single one of those will get funded. Every single one of those will have product drag. And the main core function of it, yes, the CPUs, the processors, et cetera, are a big deal, but there's a whole lot of products that need to be dragged along with that. So you can't afford to lose footprint right now. Next slide. One of the problems that we are having here is control versus growth. In the last decade, everybody got really super, I'm not going to call it smug, but super confident in their own ability to predict revenue, right? X amount of dollars spent on marketing at X amount of conversion rate, at X amount of salespeople equaled X amount of revenue. And really what that spit out was 3 to 8 times the OTE. Every salesperson was responsible for 3 to 8 times what they cost as a revenue bar. That was okay when the cost of capital was 0. Now that the cost of capital is more than 0, that model's broken to some extent. Public markets, VCs, private equity firms don't like that model as much anymore. And I would just contrast that with the typical channel headcount is 10 to 50x their OTE is a revenue contribution. I have 2 teams right now that are above 200x ROI. In other words, we spend, this isn't the right number, we spend $1 million on them and they produce 200 million in revenue. I have a channel team that I spun up in November for a large client on a project that they'd never worked on before. And the 10 channel people that we have working on that have generated $500 million in funnel in 9 months. That is tremendous ROI. Now, the hiccup here is you can't always measure that in a very straight, I spent this money, this was the conversion rate, et cetera. You have to go out, talk to partners, do some things, wine and dine people, and then, revenue will come in, but not as easy to measure. And that causes a lot of internal strife. Next slide. So really the issue here is figuring out where to target, who to target, and really finding the white space where your specific product fits in. Again, that's a return to channel leverage, but more importantly, it's partnering with partners who are in on projects that are growing, stuff that a regular manufacturer doesn't see because the design wins don't happen for a year or 2 years. There's no actual purchasing going on yet. It's all pre-production, prototype, et cetera. Figuring out how to partner with the resellers that are in that area, super critical and not super easy to do. Next slide. So some of the it should say 2 of the biggest channel mistakes. 2 of the biggest channel mistakes that companies struggle with. Number 1, some companies try to select partners based on their revenue. Clearly, if it's a big, large VAR, then a big, large VAR is going to see big, large projects, and they show up as number 1 on the CRN 500, and I think I'm a really cool company. I should go target that VAR, right? Now, as somebody who's been asked by clients to do that numerous times, who's been ordered by my own boss to go do that numerous times, I'm just going to tell you a story about me being asked for one of those clients. So first of all, they said, hey, Ezra, do whatever it takes, schmooze them, get to know the right people. Fine. We took some people to the Super Bowl, right? Cost us like 50 grand. We got some executives. Of course, anybody in the world is going to take Super Bowl tickets. They go, they hang out with us. And then the outside of that is, yes, let's have a meeting. Let's talk about where we're at, right? So I go back to my constituents, say, hey, we've got good decision makers. We know where we're going. What can we offer them? They say, hey, Ezra, we have a $5 million piece of business. We want you to take and just hand them $5 million at 30% margin. So really, I'm offering them $5 million and $1.5 million in cash for free, right? Sounds like it should be an easy thing to do. But if you've done it before, you know it's not that simple, right? So I go in, I talk to them, hey, where are we at? How's it going? And the guy says to me, look, Ezra, we like you. Super Bowl was awesome. We want to do stuff with you. To be honest, if you give us the $5 million and the $1.5 million in cash, we'll take it. But I have to tell you that I do $150 million in revenue, product revenue with your competitor. And I also sell $200 million in services along with that. So taking your $5 million is going to disrupt this $350 million. I know that if you've been in the channel for a long time, you've experienced that. But again, just a big mistake that you can make not targeting the correct partners, right? On the other side of that, a lot of folks are, I'm going to call it enamored with their own data and want to look at their own partners and how much they've done. And clearly, yes, you have to spend a lot of time with the partners you have that are in this ecosystem, looking at their revenue, but you're going to miss a lot of projects that are out in the future. You're also going to miss a lot of the influencers who get product designed in, but actually never transact. And that's a big part of the ecosystem market. The industry estimates for some things that are going on right now, 200 to 250 million CPUs that are going to turn over in the next 12 months, a bunch of AI projects that are going to go on. None of that is in your past history of who to target. So figuring out a way to know where those projects are going, there's a lot of secret sauce behind that. If you've been a great channel manager, you know how to do this in your head, but there's a slightly better approach that we can talk about on the next slide. So product marketing people have always been very scientific about this. You know that product marketing people talk about the total available market, like what's the whole market, what's the addressable market, and then more importantly, what's the realistic achievable market that I can get. I would tell you that it's very easy to to pigeonhole your partners into the same thing. Yes, you know what the company's revenue is. Yes, you know what other products they sell. How similar are they to your good partners? But how do you go in and find all the little intangibles and all the 40 or 50 characteristics that might make up your optimum partner profile? Product marketing guys have an infinite amount of time to spend on this. You as a channel salesperson do not have all that time. And that brings us to the fact that there's some pretty good analytics tools out there right now. And go ahead and hit the next slide. We personally have been asked to do this a bunch of times. And I'm just going to tell you that you can take and profile all of your partners and you can come up with 40 or 50 criteria. You can dump it into your own analytics engine. I've gone through this and, take 2 months and do this and then it spits out a number. PartnerOptimizer, and this is why we partner with Dina and PartnerOptimizer, has a mechanism where you can just load in your previous good partners, the ones that you think are transacting a lot of business, and it will spit out an optimum partner profile for you based on artificial intelligence, understanding this big database of criteria that they track. This is significantly easier than taking the month or 2 months that it's going to take you on your own. Dean, is there anything that you want to add here before we get too far down the road?
When I look at the title of this slide, sounds hard, and what if I can't get that info? Well, I think that's been the state of the partner ecosystem for years and years, right? Everyone's just accepted that they don't have access to the information. And so they kind of, hope and pray and, see what's going to stick. And they've been forced to do inefficient processes and campaigns in order to find those partners that may stick. And now, because of how this engine has been developed with the partner attributes that you can surface on, in a matter of seconds and use those to guide you, you now can have access to that information. And being able to spend, just a few minutes or a few hours playing around in the engine and looking at all those attributes that surface is, besides being a lot of fun, it saves so much time up front. And as you're seeing, I mean, we've talked about it, it increases your EBITDA, because you can put your people on the right motions and have the right decisions in place from the beginning.
Yep. Awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah. I mean, again, I would just add, it makes almost everything easier, right? If you talk about, hey, I took the wrong company to the Super Bowl, think about if I had taken the right couple of companies to the Super Bowl, right? By the way, didn't spend that money or didn't spend that time, did something else with it, let alone, I've got channel people that are training, enabling, onboarding, spending hours and hours and hours of time with companies that might not be the optimum partner. Yes, we feel good. Yes, you're going to get something out of it. But again, selecting the right target makes everything else a whole lot easier. Next slide.
Absolutely.
So again, we've done it for several companies with lots of success. And what I would tell you is, if you work for a public company or if you work for a private company that has to talk to and roll your numbers up to a board of directors or a leadership team, even finding 5 to 10% growth right now within a channel ecosystem is a pretty big number. Almost any time that I do this, we're able to just spit out an immediate 10% on revenue for things like, oh, did you know that this is a pretty good partner? Oh, by the way, they have been one of our partners. We just never paid attention to them. They occasionally buy stuff from us. There's all this stuff that we didn't know about them. Pretty easy to spit out 5 to 10% of revenue almost immediately. The second part is when you're recruiting, because you have a bunch of data that you've analyzed. And again, the best channel managers in the world in the field inherently know this, but we don't all have a 10-year veteran sitting in Detroit that knows the Detroit market and all the Detroit resellers and went to high school with them and all of that kind of stuff, right? PartnerOptimizer is your cheat code for that kind of information. Recruiting these partners becomes a whole lot easier because you see what their priorities are. You see where they focus. You see the things that they're advertising on. You get a sense for their profile. So you're throwing darts and lasers instead of the, hey, we have this really good product. How are you guys fitting in? How do you guys see yourself, right? In addition to the revenue increase, we almost always are saving clients investment dollars because we're able to tell them, hey, look, this client, this partner is asking for $10,000 in this. And yes, sometimes you've got to be nice and do stuff with them, but you just have to know that the likelihood of that partner not growing is pretty big because you already have penetration into 90% of their entire account base. So let's talk about increasing revenue by 5 to 10%, making your recruiting, your enablement, your targeting a lot easier. And in addition to that, you're going to spit out a whole lot of revenue savings in EBITDA. Again, it baffles me that some pretty large clients and some pretty established clients don't always go through this exercise. Now that I'm saying this, I'm going to guess a whole lot of clients or a whole lot of you channel folks on here see the value on this, but haven't gone through this exercise very lately. Just a note, right? Take some time and try to go through it. Dina, anything you want to add to that before we get to the next slide?
No, I mean, you said it all. It's to see it is to understand it, right? And sometimes we fear data, but in this case, the data is going to, if you embrace it and take a few minutes to really understand the logic behind it, it'll make total sense and it will make your job so much easier. The other thing I was going to say there, Ezra, is that you mentioned relying on a channel rep over in Detroit who knows the partners, knows the customers over there. But when you have, if you're a new channel chief and coming into a new position and you're trying to get your arms around who are these partners in your channel and who is worth knowing about and activating and investing in, who is partner ready for the future of AI, allow something like PartnerOptimizer to come in and give you an overall assessment. It can so quickly assess, thousands or hundreds to thousands of your partners and put them in order in a way that you can really understand what you're inheriting, what to do with it, how to segment it, and be able to build plans based upon a really solid ground.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for that, Dina. Next slide, we'll wrap up my section of it really quickly. Just to recap, right? Current times call for wiser use of dollars. I know that I don't need to explain that to anyone. Right now, that often means companies leaning into partners and alliances. And what I would advise everyone in the channel is, as you're doing that, make sure that you're going through the correct profiling and the correct approach, because spending your dollars, hiring less headcount, making sure that you're not wasting funds, that just adds to your ROI. And again, I will tell you that I've got a couple of teams doing 200x ROI, and I don't think I have any team right now below 10 or 15x ROI. Again, if you work at a SaaS company and your boss is hassling you about, hey, what are the channel guys doing? Just remind them that your return on salary is about 10x what the return on salary is for an AE team or an SDR team. I'm a big fan of the model. It's what I've spent my entire career doing. And I guess I would just leave you with, it all sounds easy in practice, but the execution of it actually ends up pretty difficult. A lot of companies hire MarketStar to help them through that process, manage those partners, et cetera. And one of the tools that we use, we get from PartnerOptimizer.
Yep.
So then I'll turn the time over to Dina, and I'll stay on here if folks have questions. But thank you guys for taking time.
Yeah. And, it's a great segue, because as partners ourselves, we're channel partners to each other. And it's been such a synergistic partnership, because when we get customers coming to us saying, okay, help us find the right partners, their next question is, well, now how do I recruit them? How do I engage and activate them? And there are so many different directions they can go. And if they don't choose the right direction with the people who have the methodology to engage and align with those partners and make sure the programs are working, then that's another point to where you could lose out and miss that ROI that you have. And so, yeah, let's go on to the other slide. So, why does Partner Optimizer exist? Well, Ezra kind of sums it up, right? Is that we want to help the channel do things faster. We want to provide you with a source of truth for partner intelligence and partner data that allows you to find all the right partners out there, whether they're in your existing ecosystem or whether they're net new. Because with partners, with technology changing, with products changing, with business models changing, and customers changing, you can't just rest upon those 10 or 100 best partners of the past to think that those are going to be your partners of the future. It's just impossible to rely upon that for a level of growth. And so when you're focused on building a good partner program and you have lots of best practices in place, the problem is, if you have the wrong partners that you're doing that on, you're wasting so much time and energy on the wrong ones instead of time that you could be spending with the right ones. And that impacts everything. It's a huge opportunity cost, and it's a huge competitive intelligence opportunity cost as well. Next slide. And so what Partner Optimizer has done that's really exceptional at this point, and perhaps very elegant at this point, at least when we're talking to customers and prospects and hearing the results, is that we've put together what a genome is, what is a digital profile of a B2B technology partner company. And we look at the business attributes that can tell you what makes that company tick. It's not profiling people per se. You can find those people after you find the right company. But it's so important at first to know that those partners that you are going to invest in, and also the ones you want to avoid, have the characteristics that make sense to invest in, or ones that you want to avoid. And so those partner attributes that we collect are business attributes that fall into these buckets of persona, customer focus, tech stack, and other qualifications. And persona is pretty obvious. What kind of company is it? Are you looking for managed service providers or system integrators, or maybe ones that cross over into both? But they have to have the right expertise and be familiar with the right products in order to be able to take your products to market. The customer focus. So those partners, they need to have the same ideal customer profile as you and the products that you're representing, because otherwise they may just be a one and done. You'll be barking up the wrong tree. You want to make sure they're selling into the right vertical, have the right customer size and types out there, and perhaps selling in the right locations if there's that line of sand to draw. Tech stack insights. So this also confirms potentially wallet share, as well as, how much time is it worth spending to recruit or steal back or steal away a partner that may already be heavily invested in another competitor? Or do they have the right adjacent products in their tech stack so that they are a potentially great partner that doesn't already have a product like yours in their catalog? Those are all questions you can now be curious about and find the answers to before you decide to invest in a partner. And I'll tell you, that's exactly the type of wallet share question and challenge that Ezra was talking about before. If you knew up front that that partner was actually extremely aligned with your competitor and there's nothing you could do to pull them away because they're so entrenched it's just nearly impossible, then save that money and invest it in smaller companies or other companies that will appreciate it and will then become your best partner. Then there's the additional qualifications. And these are types of attributes that just show that your partners are investing in the qualifications, the competencies, the know-how of the future that shows that they have the expertise to sell to your ideal customer as well. And so basically we take an ideal partner profile comprised of these characteristics and align it with partners that you can discover based upon that. And that's the win-win situation that can happen in a matter of seconds once you actually get started building your ideal profile. Next slide. So this is just an example. It's a little hard to see from here, but if you are using a platform like PartnerOptimizer with business attribute data, and you combine that with search algorithms optimized for channel partner discovery, and then you have a campaign strategy that you know why you want to recruit. Is it for a specific dinner event? Is it for a rollout of a new product? Is it to assess whether there are the right partners in the long tail for you to invest in activating? But once you have a platform like this, you can be intelligent about the different strategies and leverage the data to answer those questions. In fact, we're also in the middle of doing market industry research with PartnerOptimizer, covering entire landscapes of partner company types, and those will be rolling out over the summer. But when you have data like this about partners and you can see what partners have in common, you can learn so much about your partners and how to invest and where to stay away.
Yeah. And Dina, let me add something in here, right? Because as I'm going through this, this was one of the pivotal moments for me in looking at PartnerOptimizer, right? And if you're a channel chief, you can appreciate this, right? Somebody came to me, a client, and they said, hey, Ezra, we want to hire you guys. We want you to go out and find digital transformation partners that are selling customer service solutions that have high ticketing requirements, right? So as you know, no such list exists. And as I say that to everybody who runs channels and you think through your head, who does that? I promise you that not very many of you 6 months ago would have had any idea who to call on to do that, nor did we. We loaded some criteria into PartnerOptimizer. We came up with a couple of things. We went back and forth, made some phone calls. It took us only about 3 weeks to dial in on the correct profile. And once we did, we were calling people saying, hey, do you do this? And got almost immediate yes, 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 yeses. Super powerful tool, even for something that on a product that's never been done before, let alone something that you're intimately familiar with.
Yeah. And that's incredible. And I love hearing those stories because it's not hard to use or learn to use a platform like this. You just have to be receptive to letting it guide you towards those business attributes that could become those right partners. And then because you can always go in and refine it and say, these set of 10 partners just converted and they're great. I want to find more like them. You can now do that in basically the blink of an eye. So it really helps to facilitate, building that right profile in the first place and then doing that. And, you said digital experience. Well, PartnerOptimizer as a team didn't spend any time optimizing PartnerOptimizer for digital experience, right? The engine kind of produced that, and with its data mining was able to surface those results. Cool. So next slide, Carrie, please. Yep. So this is an example of a partner profile. The most important thing to know about a partner profile here is that you're learning business attributes and how much they're aligned to certain business attributes compared to others. And because of that relativity, you can see digital frequency and alignment of how much a partner is actually talking about a specific business attribute or a collection of them that demonstrates their expertise and their success in an area. But the other piece that's so interesting about a profile like this is that you can see what matched your criteria and what's missing. It's totally transparent. And so that allows you to see and understand, how that partner does match and what to talk to that partner about if you are reaching out to them specifically in a custom way. So now you have the ability to have a talk track. Your channel salespeople can be trained to understand how to use it, and in a matter of seconds, research who this company is and what's important to them and what to stay away from in topic and what to engage them with in a topic. The other thing you could do from here is there's a little search button, and you can just type in any terms that you want that you're looking for within one customer profile. And rather than going through websites and pages to see if you can find what they're talking about, you can find it right here by just typing in that business attribute, and it'll tell you how much they're talking about that attribute. And maybe, for example, if you're type in Microsoft, it'll show you not just Microsoft, but Office 365 and certifications and partner programs. It'll all just pop up in the blink of an eye. Next slide. So, yep, that brings us to the end of our program, which is right exactly at the bottom of the hour. So, Ezra, thank you so much for being here. For anyone who would like to have a demo of Partner Optimizer, we love giving demos. It's fun for us to see the eyes of people pop out of their heads when they realize how much they can accomplish and achieve when they have this kind of platform available. But Ezra, again, MarketStar has been a great partner to us, and you are an incredible mentor, Sherpa, guide, and success story in your own right. And look forward to working with you continued in the future.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, Dina. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. Our next episode coming up is going to be called 11. It's chapter 11, episode 11, Next Generation Ways to Engage and Re-engage Your Partners, featuring Heather Margolis. And she's the president and CEO of Channel Maven. And we look forward to having her on Thursday, July 25th. So looking forward to seeing you guys in a couple of weeks. But in the meantime, feel free to share this recording with your colleagues. It's such an important one. I mean, the stories that were told here are really helpful, and they truly hit home and make it digestible to anyone that you may be trying to explain the need for partner profiling, partner discovery, and partner activation. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks.